It's time for another Dice Tower review from Gamers Remorse.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Gamers Remorse. Today we're looking at Elysium by Space Cowboys. Let's take a look and see how it plays. Elysium is a 2 to 4 player game from Space Cowboys in partnership with Asmodee. Elysium is a card drafting set collection game in which players take on the role of an upset demigod seeking to gain the favor of the Olympians. The play area is created by shuffling together 5 of the included 8 families. For the first round, we recommend using Zeus, Hades, Athena, Hephaestus, and Poseidon. Each family will compose of 21 cards, and the main deck will be composed of 105 cards in all. Once the cards are shuffled, they will be dealt into the play area, so there are 3 times the number of players plus 1 in the Agora. So for us, there were 7 cards in a 2-player game. Set the remaining cards aside for future rounds. You will take quest tiles according to the number of players, setting them in the pediment, which gives each player the needed starting items. 4 pillars, 1 of each of the colors, 4 gold, and a random disc, and then victory points equal to the number on the disc. The disc will also establish the play order for the very first round. The cards each have a level between 1 and 3, acquisition conditions, or color of pillars needed to claim the card, a card name, the artist's name, a family symbol, and an activation symbol and card power. For the sake of time, we won't go through all the powers and symbols as they are very well explained in the rulebook. The quests, meanwhile, have an order of play number, a list of rewards, and a player count indicator showing how many players are playing to use said quests. The game takes place in 5 rounds or epochs, contained of 4 phases. The first phase is the Awakening, during which any remaining Agora cards are discarded and replaced with new cards. Phase 2 is the Action phase, during which you will take one of the cards in disc order, or one of the quests. Whenever you take a card, you must make sure that you have the pillars necessary to take said card, and then discard any of the pillars you have remaining on your player mat. If you cannot afford a quest or a card, but you must take one, you will take a quest face down as an incompleted quest, earning you a lesser reward. If you can't afford to take one of the cards from the Agora, you'll take a Citizen, which can act as a wild later in game, but will cost you 2 points when scoring. During this phase, you can also activate the powers on the cards in your domain. When doing so, turn the card sideways to indicate if it was used, or use it instantly based upon what the cards look like based on their symbol as outlined in the rulebook. Some cards even have an activated ability once moved from your domain to your Elysium. These are called Cronus cards and have a special hourglass symbol. Phase 3 is the Writing of the Legends. In this phase, players will move their cards from the domain down to their Elysium. Players will be creating legends of either families, where they use 1, 2, and 3 values, all of the same family, or levels, in which they will seek the same level of card within different families of cards. At the end of the game, only the cards in the Elysium will score the player's points. Citizens act as wilds when moving them to the Elysium, but can only join legends already containing 2 cards or more. When transferring them, you pay gold equal to the card for which they are acting as, either 1, 2, or 3 coins. All other cards, when being transferred, you will pay the coins equal to that card's value as well. The 4th phase is the End of the Epoch phase, or Cleanup, in which you will remove any cards from the Agora and rearrange the quests in the pediment. Pillars will be replaced on your board, and the Epoch marker will move 1 space along the Epoch track. If the Epoch track is already at 5, then you'll enter endgame scoring and tally who has the most points and which demigod will be deemed worthy to join the Olympians on their mountain. So let's see, what did the guys think of Elysium? All right, that was Elysium. So Sean, what do you think about the gameplay of this?
Overall, it was very interesting. It's set collection, but it's phased set collection, right? Mm-hmm. So you're taking bidding actions, discarding resources, we could say, you know, to claim these cards. You put them in your domain.
Yeah. Yep.
In your domain.
Fancy terms.
Yeah, and then you get so many action points to move them into your Elysium, you know, to make your legends and whatnot. So it's set collection, but it's obscured by several hoops you have to jump through. So overall, I really liked it. And once you get your mind wrapped around it, it just makes sense. And it runs real clean and real smooth.
Yeah.
So.
And I really like that idea of, you can only use the powers of cards in your domain, but you only get the points from from the cards in your Elysium. So there is that, where do you want to keep your cards? You're fighting over taking the various quests, and you have to take that into account.
Right.
So I thought that was a fun twist on just your standard set collection.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like I should talk more about it, but it's such a... I don't want to say it's a simple game, but it's one that's easy to wrap your mind around. So... Yeah. I guess it was just a really clean and efficient game.
Yeah. And I believe it was nominated for the...
Spiel.
Kenner Spiel. Or the Good Award, as I like to refer to it. And I don't believe it won.
Nope.
But I almost feel like it should have. Minor bias. But that's just me. I love this sort of game.
Broom Service one, right?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yep. But that's a show for another day. So look and feel. One of the things I loved about this game, there are 8 different families of gods, and each family, they hired a separate artist. So when you look at the art, each family has kind of its own art style, but it is a similar media. So they feel unified, but each one feels its own, and I think that's genius. And as someone who loves the aesthetics in games, I just can't get enough of it. And it's something I point out, like, whenever it gets to the table. I'm like, guys, look at that. It's so pretty. And they're like, shut up, Brian. Let's play the game. But visually, what did you think about the game?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't just the art. You commented on the art was phenomenal, of course. I mean, it's Space Cowboys, so it's going to be. But these little pieces as well, these little... I call them resources, but I mean, they're pillars, right?
Yeah.
That's what they're meant to resemble. And probably a pillar to represent multiple gods or what have you. But those are fun, they add an extra Greek feel to it, And then you have I don't think it's a Colosseum, but a temple up here, to represent the different quests you can go on and things like that. It all just really added to the overall theme of it, which we'll get to in a second.
Yeah. And one of the other things I really liked about this game, there's a big movement recently in board games to be colorblind friendly. And something that they did, and they say, it's unnecessary unless you want to do it, but I figure, I might as well play it safe. But they gave you little icons to put on top of all the pillars, so that even if you have friends over who are colorblind, they can tell the different pillars based on the Greek letter on top of the pillar. I'm like, that's just something really cool that they chose to throw in. But how about the pacing? What do you think about the pacing in this game?
Pacing was fairly good, actually. I mean... There's only so many cards out there to pick from, and you can kind of wrap your mind around which one you want. And there are some that you just can't get because for whatever reason you discarded a couple of your pillars. Yeah. So you can almost narrow it down to, all right, I have a selection of one of these 3. What am I trying to do? It's fairly quick there. There's maybe some room for analysis paralysis for the first jump out of the gates. But the pacing went fairly quick. And what really helps as well is that I'm very interested in what all the other players are picking, because that means I can't pick it.
Yeah.
Or, more interestingly enough, what should I pick such that they have to take a citizen later?
Yeah. And that's why you're still engaged when it's not your turn.
Right.
And that's one of the keys with pacing is even if it's not your turn, how are you maintaining engagement? And I thought they did that very well in that regard. Because, it's essentially, card drafting from a common face-up pool.
Yes.
Which I thought was really cool. So then the theme of this game, the idea is, you're a Greek demigod and you want to go to Mount Olympus. And you want to hang out with the Olympians. And so you're building these legends and you're kind of toying with the heirs or the children, so to speak, of these gods, trying to earn their favor. And I think that comes across pretty well as you see some of the cards, you see some of the titles. And I just thought that was really fun. I played this with a friend of mine who's really into Greek history, and he loved it. And he's like, oh, that's this and there, and that takes place from this. And I'm like, I didn't get that, but that's awesome. It's just, so I think that helped kind of get him engaged to mechanisms that he normally wouldn't care about. Right. But did you feel the theme or what?
Oh yeah, throughout. I mentioned it in the mechanics as well as the the layout of the box and these little guys.
Yeah.
It was just everywhere. So yeah.
So then how about ease to learn?
Well, I didn't read the rules.
True.
So
You didn't. I guess
you explained it well.
Yeah. So, all right. So it's easy to teach, I guess. But yeah. So the rule book, it's fairly well laid out. They kind of explain how you set up, and then they go to the phase, and they break down each phase, how it plays, how you handle each thing as it comes up. And then beyond that, they have a gorgeous, on the back of the rule book, they show the iconography. So you just have to pass that sheet around if people have any questions. But the icons are so simple that it's not difficult to figure out. And the cards even say what they do quite specifically. And then they have another separate book that just tells you what all the cards do. So if you want a more in-depth idea of that, you can just pass that book around, read it in your spare time or what have you. And I just think that was handled really well. But like you said, it's quite teachable.
Yeah.
Which a lot of games that are more complex like this aren't as teachable.
Right.
But then how about replayability? What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, I would say high replayability. I mean, we didn't even get through a quarter of the cards, I don't think, by the end of the game.
Yeah. We didn't even use 3 of the families.
Really?
Yeah, you used 5 of the 8 families each game.
Okay.
And so there's so many possibilities.
Yeah, so there's a whole lot going on there then that I didn't even know about. But I mean, every time it's like 7 Wonders where you have a different pool of cards you're choosing every time, and you think you know a strategy you want to go for, but you might have to change it on a dime.
Yeah.
Because only those cards are available. Oh crap! All right, let's go this other route. So high replayability because of the dynamic nature of the game, and as you said, more cards that we didn't even see in this game.
And then each of the families kind of adds a unique twist. So the Ares family, they actually add another even component that you add into the game. The Apollos family, you get to see some of the cards that will come into future epochs before they arrive, so you kind of get a glimpse into the future. And so it's really fun, and you want to start experimenting with those. We used here just the recommended 5 families. But the other ones they keep adding more and more to the game, and it's fantastic. But any final parting thoughts?
Yeah, I don't think we've shown the inside of the box yet, if you want to show that.
Yeah.
They actually modeled it like some of the Greek temples inside of it. So you can see the top up here, but also these resemble pillars, that you would see in Greek buildings and architecture. So it's really quite interesting. They clearly did their homework on it.
Yeah. And it just makes transportation super easy. It's very easy to pack away, and you can store it however you want, and stuff doesn't fall over the place. It's glorious.
Yeah. Great game. Highly recommended.
Yeah. So that was Elysium by Space Cowboys.
I'm going to go a little bit further.
Okay, we're going to go a little bit further.
This game may have jonesed 7 Wonders for me. No comment?
On that bombshell.
Comments below.
Sean's just called it. Has this joned any games for you, or have other games joned to this? Let us know in the comments below.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.